Well, good evening, and welcome to the 20th anniversary of the Frank and Bethune Church Gala. I think we're off to a pretty killer start. For those of you who don't know me, which is probably many of you, I'm Ilana Rubel. I am the newest member of the Democratic caucus in the state legislature. I was just appointed in January, so I'm 3 months in for District 18, taking the seat for Janie Ward-Engelking when she moved up to the Senate. And boy, after 3 months in there, I cannot tell you how happy I am to be in a room this big full of Idaho Democrats. Woo! Now, for 20 years, this party has been honoring the legacy of Senator Church and Bethune. Of course, this year, it's a more bittersweet occasion since this is the first year that we have not had our beloved Bethune with us. But we are really fortunate to have her family with us. We have Chase and Pamela Church up here, and I just want to thank them so much for being here. So thank you. I was really fortunate to have been able to get to know Bethune at least a little bit. I live right by the Bethune Church Trail down in southeast Boise, and it's phenomenal to be reminded of her every time I go for a walk. Now, we'll have a full-blown tribute to Bethune later in this evening, but I just wanted to get the evening started off right. And since it's impossible to think about Bethune without smiling, I want you to all just take a moment to think of Bethune Church and just let a smile wash out over your face as we get the night started. So with that happy thought in mind, I want to welcome some of our Democratic movers and shakers to the room tonight. I think we have Governor Cecil Andrus here tonight, Idaho's only 4-term governor, and a Democrat. We have, woo, there he is. Thank you, Governor Andrus, for being here tonight. We have Congressman Larry LaRocco, Richard Stallings. We have, oh, there he is, there you go. We have Superintendent Marilyn Howard. There we go. We have Attorney General Tony Park and Supreme Court Justice Bob Huntley. Can you stand up? Wherever you are. Thank you so much. But not to bring a somber note to the proceedings, but this is not only the 20th anniversary of this gala, but it is also the 20th anniversary of a much less happy event. The 20th anniversary of complete Republican control of the governorship and legislature of our state. And the Republicans now control 81% of the seats in our legislature, which I hadn't really realized it was that number till I got in a few months ago. It was kind of eye-opening. But I think we can all see that after 20 years at the wheel, there is no remaining doubt that this Republican supermajority has driven our state into a deep and muddy ditch that we need to get out of. Now, you've heard the numbers. You've heard Idaho's now 50th in household income, 50th in education investment, 50th in percentage of kids that go on to college. We have 40 school districts that can't stay open 5 days a week. And what are we leading the nation in? Poverty. We are #1 in minimum wage jobs. Now, here's another scary statistic for you. Do you know that 25% of the Republicans in this country are on medication for mental illness, which is terrifying. It means the other 75% are running around untreated. I do have a couple jokes for you tonight. Let me try some here. Here's one for you. So there was this Republican legislator that wouldn't do everything the NRA told him to. That was the joke. Okay, I'll try another one. So what do you get when you have an otter and a Labrador and a leaky boat? Hope for Idaho. I don't know if it's Greg Hampickian out there. I'm sure you're all thinking, when can I shoot the MC? So I'm pretty new to this whole legislature scene. But I could say after seeing the GOP majority in action for 3 months, it is really crystal clear how we got to the bottom of all of these lists on state performance. So I'm just going to tell you a few of the things that I've seen since I got there in my new front row seat at the legislature, and a little bit about the lessons that I've learned since I got there. So quick spoiler alert, our Republican supermajority is not super. Another spoiler alert, I have never been prouder to be a Democrat. So let me just quick start at the beginning of my story. So before our session even began, our GOP leaders announced that they wouldn't even consider accepting Medicaid expansion money. They just threw $90 million of free federal money away, money that could have brought luxury items to our school, like textbooks and classes on Fridays. But they threw it all away. And why? So that they could tell the Tea Partiers in their primaries how much they hate Obama. And they left 104,000 people with no insurance that could have been able to go to doctors and get coverage with just the stroke of a pen. So the lesson I got from this is that if you care about fiscal responsibility and the health of our citizens and the health of our economy, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. So then the session began formally, and they began by introducing the Luker bills to allow people to deny service to LGBT folks. Well, luckily, we Democrats and the civil rights advocates brought enough heat on that they brought back down on that. But then, hoping that all the picketers were tied up picketing the Luker committee, they slipped in a vote to spend $2 million of taxpayer money to gun down wolves in the Frank Church wilderness and other wild areas throughout our state. Lesson I took from that is, if you care about civil rights and you care about preserving our wildlife, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. But, of course, as you know, the GOP was still just warming up. Along came Ag-Gag. Now, this one was really a challenge to explain to our friends in blue states, to explain that, Mercy for Animals caught people on videotape beating and abusing farm animals. So our legislature responded by making it a crime to videotape and report farm animal abuse. Of course, what better way to deal with farm animal abuse than to ban the reporting? But hey, problem solved, right? I mean, thanks to our GOP legislators, we won't have to hear about animal abuse anymore. What a relief. Yeah, I thought, why stop at agriculture? This could be the answer to all our state's problems. School kids can't read? Just make it a crime to publish reading scores. Problem solved. Tired of hearing about our poverty statistics? Just ban them. Just ban collecting the statistics. New rule, report on the poor house and you go to the big house. Lock them up and throw away Dan Popke. This could save our legislators so much awkwardness and embarrassment. I don't know why they didn't think of it years ago. But the lesson I took from this is that if you care about food safety and animal welfare, if you care about the First Amendment, or really any amendment that comes after the Second Amendment, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. But sadly, of course, Ag-Gag was not the last of the turds to be laid at our doorstep by our GOP majority this session. Next up, guns on campus. Well, you know this story. A few pesky meddlers wanted to keep our college campuses gun-free, interlopers like the university presidents and the chiefs of police and the entire state board of education and the people responsible for campus security and the professors and the vast majority of students and the people that actually live and work on college campuses. Now, I know everything seemed to be going great at our university campuses without guns all these years, but the problem was that our education community was so busy teaching and learning on their gun-free campuses that they didn't even realize they'd lost their freedom to be surrounded by guns. So those freedom fighters, the NRA, and our GOP minions stepped in and brought us the Guns on Campus building. And they told every single real stakeholder to pound sand. Cost and devastation to our colleges be damned. So the lesson I took from that is that if you care about our education community, if you care about respecting the views of the people that are really affected, if you care about safety, if you care about actual data being used in decision-making, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. Now, unfortunately, all these lightning rod bills distracted from the ever-present things happening in the background, the tax cuts for the rich, and the fact that our schools were left at a dismal funding level that's still about $45 million below where they were in 2009. Lesson from that? If you care about rebuilding our schools, if you care about paying our teachers and fairness in our economy, you better For the Democrats. Now, finally, as we're all so painfully aware, after 8 years of demanding a hearing, after thousands of demonstrators have marched on the Capitol, scores of people have been arrested, the Republican majority in our legislature still refused to add the words or even have a hearing on it. Well, I want to thank everybody here that's worked so hard to keep this vital issue in the public eye. And we can't rest here in Idaho till all of our citizens are protected from discrimination. But I think it's clear what lesson to take away from this. If you care about equality and the protection of all of our citizens from discrimination, then you better fight like hell for the Democrats. Now I don't want to let Idaho's executive branch off the hook. Now, they certainly played more than their part this session in the train wreck of GOP governance that we saw. Now, we learned this session that taxpayers were being robbed blind by the private company that our governor had hired to run our prisons, and that there was a culture of violence so extreme that our prisons were nicknamed gladiator schools. So that makes you proud. Of course, continuing in the spirit of burying anything that could generate bad press, our governor refused to investigate the matter, but fortunately, our Democratic leadership was there to demand an FBI investigation, which is going on right now to get to the bottom of this. So the lesson I took from that is if you want checks and balances in our government and someone to fight to keep them honest, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. Of course, I assume next session we'll see a bill criminalizing the reporting of violence and corruption in prisons, but we can enjoy the reporting while we have it anyway. In other news in our executive branch, our state treasurer bought up risky securities with taxpayer money, shuffled money around between funds without telling us, and lost the state at least $10 million. And we learned that the Office of Administration may have put us out another $14 million by entering into possibly irregular contracts. So if you care about careful and responsible governance, you better fight like hell for the Democrats. And nor do I want to forget about Idaho's congressional delegation. Of course, the only thing saving us from a bigger disaster on that front is the inmates are only running one chamber of the asylum out there. But it's really not for lack of trying, though. At every turn, Idaho's congressional delegation has done everything in its power to shred our social safety net, weaken our environmental protections, destroy our nation's credit, deny our citizens health care, and shut down our government altogether. So, I personally have had it with Republican control, and I expect probably most of you have too. But I don't think we in this room here are the only ones that have had it with our total lack of balance in government. I can say I have been flooded this session by emails and calls from constituents who tell me I have never paid attention to politics before, I've never written to a representative before, but they have pushed me too far. And they are waking up and starting to write in and take serious notice. People are writing me to say, I'm a Republican, but no more. This is ridiculous. Now, the majority party thinks that they can get away with all this craziness because they think the only thing they have to worry about is getting primaried. All they have to do is just prove they love guns and hate Obama more than the other guy in the primary, and they can cruise to an easy win. But my fellow Democrats, we need to give them something to worry about this fall. We need to show them that they have kicked a hornet's nest and we are coming for them. Now, we need to not just add the 4 words, we need to add some other words. Words like Governor A.J. Belukoff. Words like Secretary of State Holly Woodings. Words like Senator Nels Mitchell. Words like Congresswoman Shirley Ringo. Now, we need to remember that it was not always this way in Idaho. There was a time not so long ago that there was balance in our government, that we had leaders like Cecil Andrus and others, so many others here tonight, that cared about the quality of Idaho education and actually invested in it. We had leaders that cared about building an economy that offers good-paying jobs and provide opportunity for all. Now, we have those leaders still, and they are in this room tonight. I see many members of our legislature here tonight. Now, if you're currently serving, would you please stand and stay standing? All our members of the legislature? I fight with these guys day in, day out, and I am so honored to serve with them. So please stay standing. If you currently hold any public office in Idaho, would you please stand up and join our legislators? If you have served in any public office in Idaho in the past, please stand and stay standing. If you have stayed up all night on the floor of the United States Senate to raise awareness of climate change, would you please stand up? That means you, Senator Udall. Now, if everybody could stand up that served in a party position, our state central committee, our precinct captains, our state chair, Larry Kank, Vice Chair Jeannie Buell, our treasurer, Susan Eastlake, our national committeemen and women, please, everybody that has worked with the party, please stand up. Now, how about our soldiers, our first responders, our firefighters, our police, our union members, our teachers? Stand up, please, and join everybody. Our candidates that are running for office this fall, please stand up. Those that have worked on or contributed to a campaign, please stand up. Those that are the spouses and the partners and the friends and the family of the people standing up that give them support so they can do what they do, please stand up. My fellow Democrats, look around. The Republicans may have driven our state into a ditch, but we have the engine to pull Idaho out of that ditch standing in this room right now. We have incredible candidates at the top of the ticket and at every level on down from across the state, and we have incredible people that are ready to fight to put them in office. So let's do it. Let's pull together. Let's give our time and our energy and our financial resources, and let's take our state back.